Hello and welcome to the Forge Lancer cast. I'll be your host Swkoll, and today we're looking at a game between Blackdeath and R.A.'s Low. R.A.'s Low we just saw in Loki. He did a good performance, but just couldn't win the game against superior Rhino skill. Rhino's totally seal unit. Skill tank. Either way, it is a match on Forbidden Pass version 3. This is the newer version of Forbidden Pass. They got rid of the rocks, they fixed the mexes. No Imbuchiti rocks, as you can see. This is a fairly complex map. Some would argue an imbalanced map for certain factions. Mainly Seraphim and Neon, with this giant amount of water bordering the entire middle of the map, which can just be floated across by the T1 land units, giving them quite a large advantage. But otherwise, can serve as more of a border for both these players, going Cybran. R.A.'s Low gonna go ahead, getting 3 P-gens to a second land factory, with a multitude of expanding engineers. Blackdeath, former Smurf, still a Smurf, also known as Fail Pro, is going to be doing a somewhat similar opening. I was actually going for a lot more power. Looks like this will be a total of 7 P-gens, so probably a second air build. There's the second air coming right up, but he'll be getting it after 4 P-gens, 2 with the engineers, so we'll have to supplement his power with this reclaiming engineer on the trees. R.A.'s Low gonna use an aggressive mantis, trying to deny this expanding engineer before it gets to this expansion. This map is really all about securing the expansions. There are 6 of them, 3 on the top, 3 at the bottom, and you usually need to grab at least 3 to stay effective in the game. Blackdeath going to send a later mantis to protect this engineer. We'll encounter this mantis. We'll see how that turns out. Looks like Blackdeath going to be getting that hydro after grabbing a mex, but R.A.'s Low with a much more aggressive push to that hydro, as though we can see almost no power from him. He's gone second air with only 4 P-gens after second land. Actually, that's third air after second land. And he'll be power stalling until he can get that hydrocarbon up. And we can see Blackdeath sporting a slightly healthier eco, getting a second bomber out after an air scout. First scout out of an air factory has become much more dominant recently. I don't remember it always being this common, but now you see everyone doing it. I don't know if it's just me, if that's always been the way, but I typically see it a lot more often nowadays. It is a very effective strategy. It allows your bomber to scout out what it's going to hit before it hits it, and the engagement down the bottom. Multiple mantis for Blackdeath should be able to protect that engineer quite easily. Unless Low doing some micro. Does get an extra 40 health on his mantis, but that's not going to matter. Bomb comes off. Hits all the units partially, but not enough to definitively kill the engineer. Looks like the bomber will go somewhere else. Looking for a bomb on these land spam engineers, does get one. Trying to go for the second, but an inti here might be enough to clean this up. And a second inti does come out to secure that position. Multiple intis coming out from Blackdeath. Blackdeath, lots of build capacity on this air factory. Does he have power to support that? Kind of. Almost. Not really. But he can hope. And he's going to use that to win air control in the early game. You might see gestures or bombers coming out, but R.A.'s Low, a nice, healthy land factory count. Already 3 land factories. Blackdeath sitting only on 2. I send a massive spam. Mantis to the top expansion. Totally going to be able to secure that. Blackdeath has no real answer to that, but Blackdeath has, with an aggressive engineer, managed to secure this expansion. Looks like the ACU is going to go grab the top expansion. Typically players do, you send it across this way and your AC goes this way. Looks like these players, they're going to try to go to their more defensive expansion. And a bomber circling around. versus an inferior group of Mantis. We'll see how that goes. For these players, Zlo grabbing this expansion, Blackdeath securing this expansion. And currently Zlo looks like he's got both these expansions under control. Possibly getting this one. Blackdeath changing his mind, wants to go to this expansion to secure it more. Bombers coming out doing nice damage against these Mantis. We'll eventually winnow them down with Roslo. Power problem, significant power deficit versus Blackdeath. Almost no power comparatively. 180 behind. Blackdeath using up all his power. Very nice power balance from him. I don't know if that's loud for anyone else. I'll turn it down on my end. I'm sure if it... We'll fix it for you. Probably shouldn't, but either way. Blackdeath going to send his ACU here. Grabbing those mass ejectors after clearing out a few Mantis. And Bombers managing to winnow this Mantis force down to the point where it's thinking about retreating. In a patrol order, that's not going to be good for the AoE of these Bombers. Going to get nice, clean hits. And down the Mantis go. A win for the inferior group of Mantis. It's 4 kills on that Bomber. How many kills on this other Bomber? 3 kills, 7 kills between them. That's a lot of damage, Mantis. Looks like backwards Blackdeath will retreat. Looking to go secure the top expansion after being forced out by Zlo's superior Mantis numbers. Blackdeath looking around. With his air control, he has the Bombers with which to exploit that. Now, a large group from Reslo going to destroy this little scouting group established by Blackdeath. Nice Bombers coming up, hit nothing whatsoever. Effectively nothing, and Blackdeath looks like he's sending most of his men to the top for now. ACU in the middle, getting T2. But Bombers should be shut down with enough AA and spammed out in this area. Both players very even on the mass, very even on the power. It's really going to come down to who can secure what. Defending battles can be won, and air control. These bombs come up. Still air control from Blackdeath, but these flags aren't going to let it stay that way for long, and the point defense just goes up in time. Engineers trying to retreat, deciding how they should build their walls. Reslo has told me he doesn't actually have a template for PD and walls. I don't know why. He probably has it now, but much better engagements here for Reslo. Getting some free shots on Blackdeath. Nice Medusa hits from these players. And significant damage, stunning that PD. One of the reasons why Medusa is great. You can run it against PD and stun it, so it doesn't actually do its DPS. Anywhere else? Roslo amassing a force in the bottom of the map, but it looks like Blackdeath will win this fight. Lots of reinforcements nearby from Roslo, and Blackdeath's reinforcements are fairly far away. We'll see if he can push in and do any damage with this. Looks like the reinforcements from Zlo just so good. This Medusa has 4 kills. This one has 3. These are hero Medusa. Moving north, now Blackdeath with Tech 2 on the ACU. Going to emerge from the river and establish a foothold. Attempt to... He needs to force Zlo's ACU away in some fashion. It's not necessarily matter which way he does that, but Roslo pulling away with a bit of a power advantage, and it looks like a victory here will certainly be nice. Blackheart has sent a small force to defend this with the point defense. This should be able to hold on for a bit longer. Blackdeath getting 2-1 point defense. Zlo going to take a bit of fire from multiple 2-1 point defense. Certainly not the best situation to be in. Roslo will retreat. Lots of inties from Roslo. We're looking at intie count here. 26 inties. Blackdeath, no inties. Going T2 air. Building Engies out of his air factory. Air controlled is incredibly in Roslo's hands. Spamming out of 4 air factories with lots of engineers on 1. I'm not sure what Blackdeath hopes to do with this Tech 2 air. Certainly doesn't have air control. Getting out T2 point defense, T2 defense. Mistakenly shooting at the factory, not the artillery, but doesn't have any... Well, it does have radar now. It's a bit late. So options for Roslow. Tech 2 air, definitely an option for him. I'm not sure why Blackdeath is doing it. He's going to. Blackdeath not building power. Possibly looking to get a T2 power out of that T2 air factory. That's probably the reason why he's doing that, to get the Tech 2 engineers and then spam inties. It's always a nice option, but then you could get Tech 2 landed and do that, so... Meh. It all works. Blackdeath looks like he'll be able to secure this expansion with T2 point defense, as well as T1 point defense on the riverbanks. And similar sized forces here, dividing up map control very evenly. Looks like Blackdeath will be able to get that map control advantage now that he has secured this expansion. Both these players doing decent amounts of teching. Looking at Zlo, sitting at 2 T2 mass extractors, versus Blackdeath's singular T2 mass extractor. We'll see how that goes down. Zlo's sitting in the water, regenerating a bit of health after that encounter with the T1 point defense. Looks like Roslow trying to get a good positioning here. Blackdeath, it's a bit haphazardly placed from refugees from previous fights to new reinforcements, but most of the spam being directed towards the bottom for Blackdeath. Maybe trying to get a push here. That might be very nice. Pushing all the way up. Roslow has really turned down the spam in favor of going very heavily into the air. How many land factories does Roslow have? No, he's got most of them up there, but still only 9 factories and only producing out of 5 of them. And a major engagement goes down. Way better positioning for Zlo, but possibly numbers for Blackheart. Actually, no. Blackdeath? Blackheart? I don't know. But a nice concave being formed by Zlo. Nice micro with the attack move. Blackdeath's trying to keep his forces together. Clustered. But there's just simply not enough of them another way from Zlo. It'll certainly be painful. Emergency T1 point defense being constructed by Blackdeath's resident reclaim engineers, but it won't be enough. So this is taken out. Just massive inti count from Roslow. This is ridiculous. 85 intis. That's bonkers. T1 point defense goes up, and see how many kills this thing can get. One's destroyed. No artillery in this force from Roslow whatsoever. Not a fan of the artilleries. As Blackdeath does use quite a bit of arty in his forces. While that happens, that's about 3 arties for 7 mantis. Do the math. But reinforcements from Blackdeath being nearby certainly aid in whatever he's trying to do. Or holding off the attack is what he's trying to do. Tech 2 flak, and after denying air production, certainly be helpful. Roslow has acquired T2 on the ACU. He'll be making landfall and constructing some T2 PD. Both players with identical mass and energy counts. Zlo losing a mass extractor immediately after I said that. And this T1 PD still alive, 14 kills, will go down to Mantis on a hill. Hills, T1 PD's biggest weakness. It looks like the gesture's starting to come out from Roslow, realizing he has air control to the nth degree. Harass these T1 point defense, harass the mexes, hurt Blackdeath's eco, hurt his land forces, lose him in this land battle. A nice little run by from Blackdeath though, and a huge force from Blackdeath down here. If he can push up with this, there's almost nothing to stop him. Just needs a few T2 flaks to evade any threat of T2 air or gestures, and he'll be fine. That assumes, of course, he can win this battle after coming through this little choke point here next to this mountain. He'll be assaulting uphill. Not that entirely matters in Subcom. But gunships from Blackdeath going to harass the force despite intis being elsewhere from Roslow. So of course doing a very nice job of still securing map control. He's got this expansion now. Looks like he's trying to get this expansion, even up that map control. Roslow doing a lot more teching. Currently sitting on 3 mass extractors at T2. And the last Mantis falls. Roslow trying to get some sort of spam up, but the spam just isn't running. Well, now it is. It's a bit late, guys. The Mantis are on our doorstep. Better turn on the land factories. Mantis starting to roll through, but bombers and jesters and renegades on the case. They're gonna go in. Just not care. Blackdeath with a question mark. It's a very strategic question mark. To confuse your opponent. I'm going to secure some TMD up on this cliff. As these T2 point defense are destroyed, Roslow getting into the water does not want to be cut out by this just horde of Mantis. T1 point defense being constructed. No walls though. Slow. I know you're going to watch this video. Get a template, please. You're such a pro. Templates are for pros. Looks like these land factories will be lost, but this force can't survive forever versus, I'm counting 5, 6, 7 P1 bombers, multiple gestures, lots, maybe a renegade, 2 renegades. He's trying to get lots of kills, no mobile AA in this force whatsoever, and just a massive pack of T1 Arty. Renegades up top, doing their thing, winning this battle for Blackdeath, but you know, without air control, this battle down here will be lost. Looking at this force, this is currently about 50 units at the T1. It was more previously, and taking casualties all the way uphill, but let's see how far they can get. T2 point defense in attempted construction, but I don't know how. That's just not going to get finished. Roslow has serious issues here. This battle looks like it's getting won for Blackdeath. These renegades aiding in support all that time. They're directly on the doorstep. They can run in, kill the power. Ooh, that's a nice camera. But they stop. They stop right here. He's not rushing in. He's just going to take so much damage standing still from these bombers. This pass killed just about half of them. Now realizing they have to run in, but is it too late? Looking at the force now, it's down to only 21 units. Looks like this battle has been won more or less by Roslow with sufficient spam. T1 point defense in the area and do their thing. But with only artillery left and multiple gunships in the area, the Blackdeath push of death is finally ended. And while Blackdeath losing forces up here, the real threat is the 8 renegades, and the 8 bombers, and the 3 jesters, all the DPS. Blackdeath obviously has to respect this threat, gonna retreat across the river. Mobile flank here, but is there any Tech 2 land? Tech 2 land? Tech 2 land 70% done, but it's a bit late. Actually, very late. Is he having power problems? No, his ego's fine, but he just doesn't have the T2 land he needs. Trying to get static T1 AAs up. Not working out whatsoever. Another push from Blackdeath, but now their defenses in this area are constructed by Roslow's T2 ACU. Looks like Blackdeath trying to make a play to control air under his own static T1 flanks. Not sure how successful this will be, if at all, but static flanks are getting kills. Looks like it just isn't enough. Maybe need some T2 flank in there if you wanted results. But that's simply not what happened. Blackdeath going to go up on that ledge without any air support, any air to ground, and immediately going to get jumped on by about 3 gunships. We're on the way trying to construct that Burstmaster. Rush it up with all 42 build power that he possesses. Meanwhile, battle's going down. These forces now have T2 flanks. With Blackdeath taking lots of fire. Looks like this battle might be a win for Blackdeath, especially if you can get some rhinos in there, but just trying to get the flak, losing this expansion to air, meanwhile taking significant fire. Looks like the Burst Masters are going to do their thing, but more gunships stand by. Without a shield, he's in tragic danger. Let's see if Blackdeath can do anything. Looks like he's holding off the top for now. And now with the investment of T2 lands, Blackdeath control Ks. Good job, Blackdeath. Realizing that the inevitable T2 air destruction of his base and of him ends the game at 21 minutes versus Roslo. The slightly anticlimactic ending, but I think Roslo definitely pulled some interesting plays here. Lots of action between expansions. The overall arc of it being Roslo winning with the T2 air after Blackdeath waited maybe a bit too long to get that Tech 2 land out. Roslo could have lost if there had just been a little more in this push. Killing all this power would have been absolutely devastating. So, thank you for watching, and good night.